Welcome to the Iron Self podcast, where we jump into health, fitness, mindset, and becoming the best version of yourself. Today with your hosts, Mike and Kaila Minion. Welcome back to the Iron Self podcast.
Hey guys.
On today's episode, we're talking about habit stacking and everything really to do with building long-term successful habits and behaviors.
So for everybody that's listening that has tried to start a new habit that they may have struggled, especially at the beginning, to start, this episode is for you. So habits are some of those fun things where it's like we want to make a change in our life, we have an idea of how we're going to make that change, and now creating sustainable habits that we can continue to build success on is how we get these habits to stick and how we get these changes to take place long term.
We've often started a habit or behavior change when we start this new thing and we're really good at it for about a week, and after a week it starts to get less consistent, less good at it, and by the end of the second week you're not really following through on that. And that tends to be the way of a lot of people's world, is that we just failed for that long-term implementation. That short-term, okay, we can do it, but that long-term implementation tends to be harder and take longer. So we have some tips and tricks for you to help you keep it going long-term and to really make it part of your lifestyle.
So the first thing that I want to start with is your why. Why do you want this change in the first place? Because if your why is, say you want to lose some weight. We get weight loss clients all the time, but say we wanted to lose a bit of weight. I want to lose 5 pounds, 10 pounds. That isn't going to be a strong enough why just because simply I want to lose weight.
Because Friday night comes around and
what's more important, the fact that you want to lose weight or the fact that you want to have wings and drinks with your best friends?
Right? It's probably going to be the wings and the drinks and the socialization versus it being that goal that you had.
So having a strong enough why would be something that would then push it past the point of your socialization. So the joy, the pleasure you get from your socialization has to be less than the pain that you get if you don't have a strong enough why, if that makes sense.
Or the pleasure that you get
from
it. So we're already motivated by pain or pleasure, and so whatever that social activity is on Friday night, your why has to be greater than that, whether that is from pain or pleasure. And so knowing that if that is not greater than it, then you're probably going to opt for whatever is going to give you that fulfillment.
So when you're figuring out your why, to begin with then, really starting to peel it back. Think of it like an onion. You don't want to start with just the surface layers. Those will never make you cry. You got to start peeling that onion back to get to those real deep, stinky layers. And that's what we try and figure out is our driving force, the why for why we want to do this. Maybe it's that you want to be healthy enough to play with your grandkids. Maybe it's that you want to be out of,
back pain
or out of worries for heart disease, or out of the pain of your family being worried about you and your health and things like that. So the why has to be greater than just I want to lose 5 pounds or I want to lose 10 pounds. It has to be something that really means a lot to you, so that on those hard days, on the days where it's like everything is going wrong, you still have your why to push you towards that goal, to make you successful in your new habits.
So the other piece of this is, outside of the why, is having that belief with yourself that you can do it or you can achieve it. A lot of the time when we've tried and failed in the past, we will give ourselves the reasoning of, well, I've tried and failed, or I've tried this, and this,
I've already tried everything. Yeah. It's never going to work.
When you're coming at it for a new behavior or habit change, you need to believe that it could be possible. Now, I'm not saying believing that you can do it 100%.
Today.
I'm just saying having a belief that there is the possibility that you could succeed. And when we have that belief that that possibility may happen, we start to remove a lot of that anxiety and worry that wants to hold us back and keep us stuck. Yeah. So that's that mindset piece. Shifting into that why, having a greater purpose, a greater driver for wanting to do it, and believing that you have the ability to do it if you can stay committed and successful. So now once we've taken hold of that mindset piece, we can begin to start to take hold of that behavior piece. And what does that look like? go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that goes with the mindset piece too, is building that trusting relationship with self. So again, starting small with your habits. When we're starting anything new, if it's too big, if it's too much of a drastic change from where we are right now, our mind starts to question it and say, well, is that something that we really can do right now? Which is what she was saying with the mindset. But really starting to start small. So again, if you are brand new to, let's say, working out, you're brand new to working out, saying that you're going to work out 6 or 7 days a week for an hour every single time, that is a hard thing for a new mind in the fitness realm to really wrap around, right? So starting small, starting with, okay, I'm just going to put my shoes on every day. When I get home from work, I'm literally going to throw my shoes on, and then my mind's going to think, well, why are we putting these shoes on? Well, we're putting the shoes on to eventually work out. Maybe we're not even at the workout yet. Maybe it's we're going to put the shoes on and we're going to walk around in our house. Get used to these shoes. Start to feel them out a little bit. Start to build success in a habit. Not the habit that you want, but starting to build success in a habit that goes towards the goal that you have or towards the habit that you want to have is huge, because you can start to build success in these super small, easy habits like throwing your shoes on, putting on your gym clothes, getting your water bottle filled like you're going to go and do your workout. All of these are habits, and once you start stacking these small, successful habits one on top of the other, eventually you're going to get you'll find out that you have your shoes on, you have your clothes on, you got your water bottle filled. Well, what the hell do we do now? Well, the next step is to actually start these workouts.
Well, it's called aligned action. So often we think that we need to jump right into the what it is that we want to accomplish versus just, hey, taking that aligned action. So by taking aligned action and putting on my shoes, that action is aligned with the greater thing that I want to achieve. But right now, I'm just not at the state where I'm willing to commit to the gym, or I'm willing to commit to, exercising 6 days a week in my house, whatever that might be. Maybe your aligned action is purchasing the already cut up vegetables. And that's going to help, like, the long-term effects of you eating healthier is that if it's already cut up for me, I'm more likely to eat it. Whereas another person might say, no, I want to just start meal prepping and I'm going to start eating healthy. Well, that feels hard. And if that's not something that you're already doing, then it's not really going to be the easiest transition. The easiest transition for you is buying the bags of the mini carrots or the vegetable trays that are already cut up, the fruit trays that are already cut up, so that when I go for a snack, it's already there and it is that aligned action, right? Lots of people will grab for those granola bars in the cupboard because they're quick, convenient, and easy, not because it's aligned with their goals.
So I love what you said there. I love where you were starting with that for sure, because making a habit something that is super easy compared to something that is super hard is how you get successful at these small habits. So like you're saying with your diet, with food, if you are looking at a new habit, say it is vegetables. We want to start including vegetables. We want to get the processed shit out of the cupboard. Great. So if we want to do that, we need to make eating vegetables as easy as possible. Like you said, you buy the pre-cut ones, or you buy it all in bulk and you cut it all at once, and then you store it. So then when you are looking for a snack, you're like, oh, that's already cut. That's already ready for me. It's already pre-packaged for the week. I'll just grab that. Whereas, again, the granola bars, the chocolate chip cookies, the whatever else, put those somewhere that makes it a lot harder to get to. So instead of even having those in your pantry, maybe you put those in your kid's bedroom at the top portion of their closet. So it is way out of your way to go and get this food that doesn't serve your goals, because if it's super easy to grab for and it's super palatable and it's something that you're used to going for, your body's always going to reach for that. It's going to be like, oh, the chips are right there. But if the chips aren't there, if the chips are upstairs or downstairs in your kids' room or in your pantry or wherever it is that is not right where you are when you are hungry, that makes it that much harder for you to go and get. It's the same idea as if you have a terrible habit of just watching TV in your bedroom at night instead of sleeping. A lot of people have issues with this because they're like, well, the TV's on. Well, take the TV out of the damn bedroom, or take the batteries out of your remote and unplug the TV every time you finish watching it. So then to watch your TV, you physically have to plug the TV in, put batteries back in your remote before you can turn it on. Small, easy steps. So realistically, if you really wanted to watch the TV, like if you had the Olympics or something that you wanted to watch, you can still do that but it's inconvenient enough that unless it's something you really want to do, you're going to be like, that is a pain in my ass. I'm not even going to bother.
I love that you're saying, make the things that you want to do really easy and make the things that you don't necessarily want a little bit more difficult, a little bit more thought has to go into them. We're not talking about replacing a behavior here. So we're not saying, instead of sitting on the couch at the end of the night, I want you to work out. I mean, come on. Nobody wants to do that instead. Like, I would rather chill out and come down for my day. So and the flip side of that for what you're saying is making it more difficult. If I want to chill out at the end of the day and I have a goal of reading a book, but I would rather watch TV, I might make putting on the TV a lot harder so that I can take that time to go, oh, actually, I said I wanted to read my book. I'm going to read my book and then I'll go get the TV. Or whatever it is that habit behavior that you want to have going on, but creating it in small micro steps so that it feels stupid easy. Like, if it feels even a minuscule amount hard, then you need to take it back even simpler and just keep it going simple. Okay, I've got my shoes on. For a week now, I've put my workout shoes on every single day when I came home after work. Now, the next step is I'm going to commit to 5 minutes of movement with my shoes on. So maybe that means that I go on the treadmill for 5 minutes. I go for a walk for 5 minutes. I lift some dumbbells for 5 minutes. Once I've now created 5 minutes of super simple, I've only actually committed a total of maybe call it 10 minutes by the time I put on my shoes and I did my 5 minutes of movement. But guess what? That 10 minutes is still more than I've done. Yeah. And so over time, like Mike's saying, is that now once I've got 5 minutes in, maybe I extend that 5 minutes by an additional 5. Now I'm in the gym for 10 minutes or I'm doing my movement for 10 minutes. And slowly you begin to build that habit into your daily routine, into your daily lifestyle, and it integrates nicely, fluidly, versus it being like a shock to the system going, well, I don't work out at all, I don't eat healthy at all, and now I'm going to do it all. That's a big shock to the system, and you are going to have a really hard time integrating that long term. Now, I know the cliche is that you hear, oh, well, it's got to become a lifestyle and it's not a temporary fix. Yes, it's a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason because it becomes part of your lifestyle. So if exercising on a regular basis is not something that you want for your long-term lifestyle, then you might need to reevaluate what your goals are to have them in alignment with what that long-term idea of your life looks like. Because if you're taking a short-term action and you're expecting it to be long-term lasting, it's not going to be. I can promise you that right now. Our goal as coaches is to help you create sustainable habits to be long lasting so that you don't have to come back to us in a year and go, I need to lose that 10 pounds again. Or
Same 10 pounds.
I need to get my back better. I know last year we did that, but I'm back in this state. It's like, no, I don't want you to ever have to come back to me. I want you to have the lifestyle, habits, behaviors, routines set up for your success from now until eternity.
People think we're crazy all the time because I say this to all of my clients. If you are my client forever, I'm not doing my job right. Because unless you are like a high-level performer, like top of the top athlete, 100%, then you're always going to need a trainer because you need to be able to get pushed that much harder. General population, general health, we give all of our clients all of the tools they need to be successful for their entire life. If you are continually coming back to your trainer over and over again because you didn't learn anything and because you need to lose that same 10 pounds again, then I hate to say it, but then your trainer is failing you, because realistically we should be able to treat everybody the same so that we're teaching you how to stack these habits to be successful long term. So one thing that Kaila touched on that I wanted to touch on too was it's called the 2-minute habit. So James Clear, who's the guy who wrote Atomic Habits, he does this thing called 2-minute habits. And the reality that he says is anybody can do anything for 2 minutes, regardless of what your habit is that you're trying to do, even if it's running a marathon. Okay, so everybody's like, well, you can't run a marathon in 2 minutes. No, but you can start running within that first 2 minutes. You can do anything for 2 minutes. You can do push-ups for 2 minutes. You can do squats, whatever it is. You can do anything for 2 minutes. So the whole idea behind the 2-minute habit is if you're starting a new habit, set a timer for 2 minutes, 120 seconds, no longer, and do it for that 2 minutes, whatever it is. If it's eating, if it's nutrition, if it's moving, whatever it might be, set that timer for 2 minutes. And when you hit that timer, you can be done, because that's it. We just want you to do 2 minutes for the first however long until you start to feel successful with this habit. And then eventually you're going to be 2 minutes in, you're going to be like, exactly what Kayla said. Shit, I already went for 2 minutes. Now I'm going to go for 5 minutes. Maybe next time I'll go for 10 minutes, whatever that looks like. But building success on small habits, habits become routine when they are successful. If you set a habit of, I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. every day to go and do my workout, and then you don't wake up until 7:30 every day, you are not successful in that habit. So then you're not going to be able to successfully stack anything else on top of that habit, because you need to be successful with a habit first before you can build success with it.
If you're ready to make a change in your life, step into the best version of you, check out our Iron Self Transformation Program. Find more info on our website, www.ironbodycoach.com. Now, before you decide what journey you're going to go on in regards to your goal, you need to fully understand your goal and what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So if your goal is weight loss and you're trying to accomplish physical scale weight changes, okay, this is where we got to define this. Am I looking for a physical change on the scale, or am I looking for a change in my pictures, a change in my body composition?
The way my clothes fit.
There are very, very different things that we are looking at here. So once you've defined it, then you can start taking aligned action towards that goal. So my goal is physical scale weight loss. So that means I'm going to drink more water. That means that I'm going to reduce the stress in my diet.
I'm going to watch what I'm eating, because scale weight comes from what we put in our mouth holes.
Right? So we're going to start taking these aligned actions. So maybe the first thing that I do is I just start eating more whole foods. And maybe that means in order for me to eat more whole foods, I need to break that down into smaller, more manageable tasks, because eating whole foods might be a task, but how do I do that? Well, the how that I do that might be...
Maybe you buy whole foods.
Maybe you buy whole foods. Maybe you start with just frozen vegetables. Maybe you find a recipe that you really want to try and make. Maybe you're trying a different food source. I mean, one of the things that we like to do is go into the grocery store and grab something that I've never purchased before from the fruit and vegetable section and try and figure out how to cook it. Once you do that, you might like it, you might not like it, but it's still aligned action towards your goal of weight loss, and that comes with eating more whole foods.
So maybe, again, exactly for that, maybe your first habit is literally just one meal a day of whole food. Right? So maybe you pick a meal that you're going to have your whole family at. So maybe like a dinner, and maybe every day at supper now we're having a whole food for your protein source, whether that's meat, beans, whatever it is, but you're eating a whole food for your protein source, a whole food for your carbohydrates. So that's rice or potatoes or whatever, and then some vegetables, right? So maybe just one meal a day is the start of that habit stack. And then once you're successful eating this single meal of a day with whole foods every time, well, then maybe we can start looking at bringing whole foods into your snacks, or bringing whole foods into your lunch or your breakfast, right? So really slowly starting to roll this. And this is something that we do with every transformation program we run. We tell people to take it slow to start. We're only focusing on protein first, or we're only focusing on whole foods first, and then we're going to start to worry about your protein levels. Then we can look at carbohydrates, then we'll look at healthy fats. We're not throwing everything at you at once and saying, figure it all out right now, because that's not how you build successful habits. Start small, start to really progress in those habits and stack them one on top of the other.
And there's another thing that you can look at, and we call it the low-hanging fruit or the big kahuna. The low-hanging fruit are what are the easiest things in your life that you can start to change. And so maybe one of the easiest things for you is just simply adding more water into your day. Maybe you drink a lot of coffee, and so instead of drinking, 10 cups of coffee, maybe you're going to have 5 cups of coffee and 5 cups of water. Whatever that aligned action is, that's going to be the easiest thing for you to begin to change. Maybe it's going to bed earlier. Maybe it's getting up earlier. Whatever is your low-hanging fruit. The big kahuna is the biggest thing that you could change that's going to create the biggest impact.
What moves the needle the most?
So maybe that is, I need to get 10,000 steps in a day. Maybe that is, I'm going to eat protein with every single meal today because I know it keeps me fuller longer.
For a lot of people, and this is just broad view, but when you look at what time you go to bed at, that affects your entire next day. That affects how you start your day in the morning, for whether you're going to work out or whether you're just going to wake up and get ready, because all you have time to do is get up, jump out the door, and go to work. So, as weird as it sounds to look at the productivity of a day, it starts the night before and what time you go to bed and the quality of your sleep. So maybe your first habit that you want to work on is my bedtime. Maybe my bedtime needs to be whatever, 10 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, whatever it feels like to start building that success the next day. Because one of the biggest indicator shifters that you can get is how well rested you are in the morning and how well prepared you are for your day first thing in the morning.
So starting to look at your lifestyle that you want, break it down. What are the goals that I want? How do I want to feel? What does that look like long term? And then we reverse engineer it backwards. This is the lifestyle I want. This is the body I want. This is the mindset I want. Now I reverse engineer it backwards and go, okay, so what are the habits, routines that I need to have in order to achieve? That
person has, yeah.
In order to achieve it, right? You can't look at a person, say their body or their life or whatever, and go, I want that life, and not be taking aligned action to do what they do. You need to start taking aligned action in order to get that result. Now, I'm not saying that your results will be 100% the same as that person's. What I'm saying is that if you want something different, you need to take aligned action to achieve it, and you need to do something differently, because your body and your lifestyle, everything is exactly how it is today based on all of the choices and decisions that you've made up until this point. So it doesn't matter what your version of hard is. It can be hard to stay stuck, and it can be hard to transfer forward. You get to choose your hard, but you have to make that choice every single day that, hey, I'm going to eat at McDonald's instead of going to Chop Leaf. Like, if that's your choice, you need to understand the repercussions of that choice.
Own your choices.
And owning that choice to know that this is going to be the result that I'm going to get long term. So you want a different result long term, you need to reverse engineer it and start with the low hanging fruit. Start with the easiest things to change and make them stupid easy. Like, so easy that it feels like, why would I even do this, because it's too easy.
If you want to read more at night, put your books out the day before. Put something out in the place where you normally sit at night that says, hey, we're going to read now, right? Like for Kaila and I, we normally have our books in our bedroom because we read before we go to bed. Well, we wanted to start integrating more reading into our lives. So now we each have like a book in the living room and a book upstairs. So regardless of where we are, we're set up for success, right? You need to build your environment to be attributing to your success. Whatever success looks like for you, your environment has to match that. If you want to lose weight, but everything in your environment is a highly palatable, no other way to say it, shit food, then you're not setting up your environment for success. And I know lots of people are like, well, I have kids and I need to have the snacks for them. That's fine. Have the snacks for them, but those are for your kids.
Or
right?
put them higher so that
higher
you don't
or
have
lower
to
in
see
the pantry, whatever, but don't make them readily accessible to yourself. So especially, you need to be very honest with yourself while you are in these changes. If you know that you are someone who will reach for those highly palatable foods, get them the hell out of the way for yourself, right? The biggest obstacle in front of everybody when they're looking for habit changes is yourself and being stuck in your old patterns. So if you truly want this change, you need to make it as attractive and easy as you can on yourself. Set your environment up, set your mindset up for success. Let people that you know that you spend your time with, let them know what you're trying to work towards, what your habits that you want are, so they can help you be successful in that, so that they can hold you accountable too.
Now, if you don't have people in your environment to help create that support network or support system, reach out online. There's tons of groups that can create a support system for you. Set alarms or reminders for yourself. I know one of the things for me is that I wanted to start having a better relationship with myself and more belief in myself. So I downloaded an app called I Am, and this app sends me self-love, self-care affirmations 10 times a day. Well, 10 times a day, now I'm starting to think about how great I am. And it's a reminder to myself that I can believe in myself and that I can achieve whatever I set forward. For me, that created an environment where I could keep reminding myself, even in those moments of self-doubt, that I've got this. Even if I don't believe the affirmation that comes through, I read it and it begins to integrate into my life, and it reminds me to come back to that present moment, that this fear, this anxiety, this worry is really not for my highest good. And when I begin to create my mindset to surround myself with what it is that I want to cultivate, my mindset starts to guide me in that direction. But like Mike said, when you're constantly putting yourself in an environment that isn't supporting these changes, or surrounding yourself with other people that aren't on a similar journey to you, then it's going to make it much harder, like walking through deep mud in order to get to your goals.
Yeah. So, and the last thing that I do want to say for habit stacking, because this episode is called habit stacking, is exactly that. So if you want to make a new habit wildly successful, pick something you are already successful at every day and put that habit right behind it. So if you want to read more, just say you want to start reading more. And every single day you eat your lunch sitting at your desk, you have your coffee and your lunch, and you're going to have your coffee and your lunch every single day. Have your book there for right after. Because you will be successful at eating your lunch and having your coffee, and as soon as you are done that, there's your book and you can start reading. Put it right behind one from the other, and whatever that might be. So if it's workouts and you're like, I never make time for my workouts. Well, every day when you get home from work, maybe you have your shoes and your clothes sitting there waiting for you, so you literally don't even have to think about it. You get out of your car, and before you have committed to anything else inside your house, you got your shoes and your workout clothes on. Or maybe you bring your shoes and your workout clothes with you to work so you can just drive straight to the gym on the way home. Whatever you are trying to make as a habit stack, pick the most successful habit that you have around that time and stack whatever that you were trying to build into your life right after it, so that you can go one to the other and it breeds success. It's a beautiful thing.
You definitely don't want to link it to a time. So you don't want to say every day at noon I'm going to do this, because the chances of you looking at the time at noon are very, very small. So like Mike's saying, linking it to a habit, behavior, routine that you're already doing. If you want to, so maybe you want to start doing a meditative practice, and every night you find yourself scrolling social media and you never make a time for this practice. Maybe what you say is, hey, I'm going to do this practice and then I get to scroll social media. So now the social media becomes the reward for you for doing the practice, versus you replacing the behavior of social media with the mindfulness practice, so that you still get the other things that you want to have in your life and the other enjoyment factor, but you're beginning to link it to something that you're already doing and creating a reward system within that. So like I said, maybe your reward system is scrolling social media. Maybe your reward system is that you get to have a treat once a week. Maybe your reward system is that you get to have some form of self-care. Maybe it's, going for a walk, spending more time with your kids. Like the possibilities are really endless, but you need to create whatever that reward system is so that you get that instant gratification for the task that you're trying to implement. Maybe it's a high five. Maybe, you just give yourself a high five. You go to the mirror and you give yourself that high five. Like Mel Robbins has the high five habit. It's associated with that team building, that accountability. So looking for other ways to create those rewards within that habit stacking, not just like, I'm going to put something in a jar and when I fill that jar up, I get to go on vacation. Well, that's great. It's not giving you that immediate gratification. So finding a way to create that feedback loop, because you're more likely to do it. That's why you scroll social media. That's why you post on social media.
Immediate gratification.
You get that immediate gratification. Oh, somebody liked my post. Oh, I like somebody else's post. Oh, somebody else commented. That's that immediate gratification, and that needs to be linked with the habit stacking.
Yeah, perfect.
So hopefully this gave you some techniques, some ideas, some food for thought around your habit stacking and creating long-term success.
If you want some more help with habit stacking, because it can be daunting to begin with, to try and figure out not only which habits you should be stacking, but how to implement them into your life, this is what our transformation program is for. We help people take exactly where they're at and build on the skills that they need to have a wildly successful life. So if this is something that you're interested in, feel free to reach out to us, and we'd love to give you a hand with it.
www.ironbodycoach.com. Share this episode with a friend, a family member, a loved one, somebody that you feel could benefit from it today. Thank you so much for listening. Bye for now.
Have a good day, guys.